powerlifting his way out of Austria, cheating on a Kennedy, and turning the wave of popularity from action movies to the governor's seat, Arnold Schwarzenegger has been in the public eye for decades, giving the world a front row seat to just how much he's changed over the years. Arnold Schwarzenegger was born in Thal, Austria in 1947, soon after the end of World War II. As a young man, Schwarzenegger was reportedly an average student in school, but well-liked for his cheerful attitude. But the Schwarzenegger family was not wealthy. Schwarzenegger told NPR of his parents' struggles, including that his father did not make much money as a newer police officer. "We lived in this little house and there was no food. It was really my mother had to go out and beg for food when she went from farm to farm." Seeing this difficulty inspired the young man to, quote, "get out of that village and become the best in something."
I felt like I didn't belong here. I belong somewhere else. That's not the life I want to live, like the Austrians live their life.
Schwarzenegger was an athlete as a teenager, telling NPR, "I was involved in so many different sports, trying to search what it is that I'm good at, because I always felt like it's through athletics I could get out of the country and become somebody." But after seeing a professional bodybuilder and other strongmen working out, the young boy became inspired to do the same, revealing, "I started cutting out pictures of these bodybuilding magazines and boxing magazines and weightlifting magazines and put them up on the wall above my bed." This motivated the teen to begin powerlifting and training to get bigger. Schwarzenegger started his weight training journey at the age of 15. At the time, he was not naturally big, but had already developed a fitness base through sports. Schwarzenegger once said, "I felt that although I was slim, I was well developed, at least enough so that I could start going to the gym and start Olympic lifting." And though he set his sights on bodybuilding, Schwarzenegger shared that his parents hoped he'd either get into law enforcement or study something practical.
My father was negative because it was not the typical thing to do. The typical thing to do is you become a soccer player.
In 1963, Schwarzenegger competed in his first bodybuilding contest. Then, in 1965, at the age of 18, and as he was continuing to get more and more ripped in the gym, Schwarzenegger joined the Austrian army, per the country's requirement. But Schwarzenegger didn't let this stop his dreams. While serving, he went and won a bodybuilding contest, which got him in trouble for leaving the base without warning. As he explained in a 2001 speech, "Participating in the competition meant so much to me that I didn't carefully think through the consequences." Despite his punishment, Schwarzenegger's brief time in the military helped his professional goals. He told NPR, "It was the first time that I had meat and protein every day, and that made me gain 25 pounds during the year." Once his service ended, Schwarzenegger, who was 19, relocated to Munich, Germany to continue his bodybuilding training. At the age of 19, Schwarzenegger headed to London for the Mr. Universe competition, where he placed second. Never one to give up, Arnold headed back in 1967 and ultimately became the youngest Mr. Universe winner in the competition's history. This moment was the culmination of Schwarzenegger's hard work and original aspiration. Right as he began lifting weights, the young boy said Reg Park, a Mr. Universe winner and actor, became his idol. Schwarzenegger recalled to NPR that after seeing a photo of the strongman, "I immediately started creating visions of me standing there on the pedestal at the Mr. Universe contest." Joe Weider, one of the sponsors of the Mr. Universe contests, saw potential in Schwarzenegger to become even bigger, figuratively. As Weider told the New York Times, "I knew and he knew that he could be great. He was special because he was tall, he had willpower, charm, and above all, he wanted to win." With the intention of using Schwarzenegger to help bodybuilding become a mainstream sport, Weider convinced the Austrian to move to the United States in 1968.
Look, I just got an invitation from Weider. I'm not coming back. I'm gonna move to America. Bye-bye.
Soon after Schwarzenegger arrived in America, he competed in the Mr. Olympia bodybuilding competition, where he came in second place in 1969 and won the following year. Schwarzenegger also appeared in his first film as an actor in 1970, starring in Hercules in New York. It wasn't exactly a critical darling, as Michael Bowen wrote for the Boston Globe. "When you become a megastar like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you must expect your past to jump up and bite you, especially if you've made a stinker like this one." The movie did at least provide a factoid to keep in your back pocket for trivia night. Schwarzenegger was credited as Arnold Strong for his first role. Early in his acting career, Schwarzenegger's brother and father died a year apart. Arnold, however, did not go to either of their funerals. He also faced a serious setback in bodybuilding. While in South Africa in 1972, he injured himself training for the Mr. Olympia competition. But Schwarzenegger recovered in spectacular fashion, recalling on the Tim Ferriss show, "I came back from that knee injury and my thighs were bigger and better and more cut in 1973 at the Olympia, and I won the Mr. Olympia." Even though Arnold Schwarzenegger already appeared in films after coming to America, he wasn't confident in his ability to survive on just acting. As he shared on The Tim Ferriss Show, he recognized early on that many of his fellow aspiring actors, quote, had to take anything that was offered to them in order to make ends meet. With that in mind, Schwarzenegger decided to get into real estate on the side to support himself. He bought an apartment complex, and once it was developed, he traded up and bought more apartments. He noted the inflation rate in the 70s made the purchase an absolute steal. According to Schwarzenegger, "It was just one of those magic decades. I became a millionaire from my real estate investments. That was before my career took off in show business and acting." The strongman also worked on improving his mental state around that time. Schwarzenegger revealed he started to meditate heavily, using the transcendental meditation technique after he met a teacher of the mindful practice. As he recalled, "I got to the point where I could really disconnect my mind and stay and find a few seconds of this connection and rejuvenate the mind and learn how to focus more and to calm down." After appearing in a few other films, Arnold Schwarzenegger landed his biggest role in Conan the Barbarian. He explained on The Tim Ferriss Show that after the 1982 film, things took off for him, noting that the movie's box office success landed him a contract to star in the sequel Conan the Destroyer. It also paved the way for him to appear in The Terminator and Commando. Even though Schwarzenegger had a thick accent in Conan the Destroyer, he amazed audiences with his impossibly perfect body. As he recalled to NPR, the film's director, John Milius, said, "If we wouldn't have had Arnold, we would have had to build one." The actor added that his accent ended up being an asset for him in his career.
Hey, Arnold, I'm hearing neighbor. It's neighbor.
That's what I said. Neighbor.
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 Schwarzenegger then reached a personal achievement in 1983 when he officially became an American citizen. The actor told NPR it was his dream to move from Austria to what he called the #1 country in the world. And on the day he became a citizen, Schwarzenegger remembered, "I wrapped myself with the American flag and we sang and played music. Great American music." James Cameron's 1984 film The Terminator has been regarded as one of the best sci-fi movies ever. The film turned Schwarzenegger into an even bigger star and was Cameron's breakthrough as a director. In the movie, Schwarzenegger plays a time-traveling cyborg that's tasked with killing the mother of John Connor, who in the future becomes the leader of the human resistance against sentient machines. Part of the reason that the movie performed so well was the excellent casting decision. Schwarzenegger revealed on The Tim Ferriss Show that Cameron once said, "If we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger, then we couldn't have done the movie because only he sounded like a machine. It was so believable that he actually played a machine."
I'll be back.
Coinciding with the popular sci-fi film was the rise of the action hero in the 80s. Other big men like Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme started to become major stars in the decade, which helped Schwarzenegger's career. He did note on The Tim Ferriss Show that the success of the action genre was, quote, "a little bit beyond my control, but I benefited from that." In the midst of all the action movies, Schwarzenegger married John F. Kennedy's niece, Maria Shriver. Schwarzenegger finished a day of filming Predator, flew to Massachusetts, and arrived the day before his wedding. The ceremony was held on April 26, 1986, and Schwarzenegger returned to film the rest of Predator by April 30th. The screenwriters behind Alien drummed up a screenplay based on a Philip K. Dick story about a human being who heads to Mars but cannot totally recall much. Before it went into production, the film Total Recall ran into multiple issues, even though, as the Los Angeles Times noted, the script was once referred to as one of the 10 greatest unproduced films in Hollywood. According to the publication, Schwarzenegger originally passed on the role, and it was set to go ahead with Patrick Swayze when the production company went bankrupt. But then, as one of the movie's writers put it in the LA Times, Arnold rescued it single-handedly.
"You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here, Hauser."
Look who's talking.
The future governor both took the part and got the film studio Carol Co. to produce the film, which reportedly cost between $50 million and $60 million to make. Total Recall was a huge success, pulling in a cool $261 million worldwide. What's more, it was up for a BAFTA, a Hugo Award, and multiple Academy Awards. Roger Ebert called it, quote, "one of the most complex and visually interesting science fiction movies in a long time," and Michael Wilmington described it in the Los Angeles Times as, quote, "entertainingly raw and brutal." Arnold's career continued to take off after Total Recall, as throughout the 90s he went on to star in the very lucrative hits Terminator 2, Kindergarten Cop, and True Lies. Even his missteps turned out well for him, as Jingle All the Way was critically panned but proved to be financially successful. In 1997, Schwarzenegger found himself in the hospital as the Los Angeles Times reported that he elected to have heart surgery to replace an aortic valve. Even though Schwarzenegger previously admitted to taking steroids as a bodybuilder, the performance-enhancing drugs allegedly had no connection to the heart issue. As a spokesman for the actor told the publication, "This is a congenital condition that's existed in his family. We expect a very short recovery period." The same year, after his first heart surgery, Schwarzenegger promoted his film Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney as the crime-fighting superhero. The film is widely regarded as one of the worst movies of all time, and as the villain Mr. Freeze, Schwarzenegger's icy one-liners left many viewers feeling cold.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
But he made out well in the end with a huge paycheck. Schwarzenegger reportedly earned $25 million for his role, while Clooney made about $1 million. Though he was one of the biggest movie stars in the world, Arnold Schwarzenegger faced major allegations at the start of the new millennium. In 2001, Premiere magazine published an article called Arnold the Barbarian. While in London the previous year, Schwarzenegger allegedly tried to inappropriately touch multiple women during a press tour. Anna Richardson from Big Screen claimed the actor touched her breasts, remembering, "I left the room quite shaken. What was more upsetting was that his people rushed to protect him and scapegoated me, and not one person came to apologize afterward." The article went on to detail other alleged incidents involving Schwarzenegger, including during the Terminator 2 Judgment Day era. One employee of the film claimed Schwarzenegger fondled his co-star Linda Hamilton in a limo in front of director James Cameron. According to the New York Times, Schwarzenegger dismissed the assertions as trash. In 2004, CBS reported that Richardson sued the actor for the aforementioned incident and further alleged, quote, his staff later damaged her reputation by contending she encouraged his behavior. Richardson and Schwarzenegger settled the libel suit in 2006, according to a statement obtained by the outlet. Appearing on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 2003, Schwarzenegger announced a career change as he planned to run for the governorship of California.
And this is why he needs to be recalled. And this is why I'm going to run for governor of the state of California.
This came as a result of the 2003 recall of California's governor, Gray Davis, the first governor recall election in the state's history. 135 candidates ran for the same position, a roster that featured Ariana Huffington, Gary Coleman, and Hustler magazine founder Larry Flynt. Schwarzenegger ran under the Republican Party, and in the lead-up to the vote, the actor faced a handful of criticisms, including even more accusations of sexual misconduct. Schwarzenegger denied most of the allegations before eventually admitting to indecent behavior.
And so what I want to say to you is that yes, that I have behaved badly sometimes.
Ultimately, Schwarzenegger won the position. Showing his popularity with the state, the action star easily secured his re-election bid in 2006 with 57% of the votes. At a victory rally following the election, Arnold said in his speech, "This, without any doubt, is my favorite sequel." The win was also impressive because it occurred after residents voted against proposals he'd backed, including one that would involve redoing California's districts. Towards the end of his time as governor, Schwarzenegger made a soft return to acting with Sylvester Stallone, using him in a cameo role in his 2010 film The Expendables.
Hey, you've been sick? You lost weight?
Really? Whatever weight I lost, you found, pal.
In an interview for bodybuilding.com, the former governor explained about the role. "Sly gave me a chance to work for 4 days, but it looked like I worked for weeks on the movie. They shot so much footage from 6 in the morning to late at night." The two men appeared in the first 3 films of the franchise together, so when Stallone dropped out of The Expendables 4, so did Schwarzenegger. As Arnold told Entertainment Weekly, "There is no Expendables without Sly. I would never do the movie without him, no." In his personal life, Schwarzenegger revealed a shocking truth when he admitted that he cheated on his wife and had a kid outside of their marriage. Schwarzenegger had an affair with Mildred Baina, a member of the family's housekeeping staff, and the two ultimately welcomed a son in 1997. In a statement, Schwarzenegger said, "There are no excuses, and I take full responsibility for the hurt I have caused. I've apologized to Maria, my children, and my family. I am truly sorry." Shriver moved out of the family home, and the couple separated as a result of the scandal. Arnold Schwarzenegger went on to reprise his most famous role in the 2015 film Terminator Genesis and then Terminator Dark Fate in 2019. However, the action icon revealed that performing some of his own stunts was very different as a veteran actor than when he first started, telling bodybuilding.com, "Times have changed, and you have to prepare much better, much more. You have to work out harder. You have to do more cardiovascular training, more stretching, more warming up for the scenes. But I noticed that anything is possible if you prep the right way." When Donald Trump announced his candidacy for president, it was NBC, not Trump, who said, "You're fired." After terminating him from The Celebrity Apprentice, the network chose Arnold Schwarzenegger as Trump's replacement. In a statement announcing his participation in what was now called the new Celebrity Apprentice, Schwarzenegger said, "I am thrilled to bring my experience to the boardroom and to continue to raise millions for charity." Hopes were high, but ratings were not. Viewership for the premiere episode was more than 40% lower than last season's. By the time the finale rolled around, only 3.45 million watched, a 47% decline from the previous season. Schwarzenegger subsequently announced he was quitting. As he said in a statement, he loved the experience but felt discouraged that the show couldn't shed its association with its former star. Trump retained an executive producer credit on the show, and Schwarzenegger blamed his involvement for the weak ratings, saying in a statement, "Everyone, from the celebrities to the crew to the marketing department, was a straight 10, and I would absolutely work with all of them again on a show that doesn't have this baggage."
1/3 of the audience left because they boycott the show because you're the executive producer, Donald Trump.
Naturally, Trump took to X, then known as Twitter, to gloat, writing, "Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't voluntarily leaving The Apprentice. He was fired by his bad, pathetic ratings, not by me." Schwarzenegger, however, had the final word, tweeting in response, "You should think about hiring a new joke writer and a fact-checker." The bad blood between Schwarzenegger and Trump was about more than a TV show. In a 2017 CNN interview, Schwarzenegger revealed Trump wanted to contribute to his campaign for governor, but he turned away the money because it came from a casino. And for the 2016 presidential election, even as a member of the Republican Party, Schwarzenegger admitted he didn't cast a vote for Trump.
I didn't vote for him, and that I came out and said I'm not going to vote for him, and I would urge others not to vote for him. So I think that ticked him off.
He went on to explain that one of the main reasons he didn't vote for his old friend was, quote, "just along the issue that he wanted to bring coal back." Schwarzenegger said that ever since he got into politics, he'd been an advocate for a clean environment, and obviously those two platforms aren't exactly compatible. Out of office, Schwarzenegger has continued to be a political activist and provide details of his personal life. For example, he urged people to stay at home in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic in a video where he also happened to be feeding carrots to his pet donkey, Lulu, and mini pony, Whiskey. A year later, the former governor posted a video on Facebook showing him receiving a vaccine shot. In 2023, Schwarzenegger achieved another first in his career when he headlined his own TV series. Streaming on Netflix, Fubar featured the long-in-the-tooth action hero as Luke Brunner, a suburban family man who is covertly a top spy for the CIA, a secret so hidden that even his own family has no idea. The twist is that his daughter is also a deep-cover CIA spy, something that father and daughter discover simultaneously when they bump into each other on the same mission.
You've been lying to me for the last decade, and you smoke.
According to Schwarzenegger, his first ever TV series harkened back to one of his most successful big screen hits, telling Netflix's To Doom, "Everywhere I go, people ask me when I'm going to do another big action comedy like True Lies. Well, here it is." He also promised that fans who'd enjoyed his movie work would appreciate Fubar even more, and even longer, saying, "Fubar will kick your ass and make you laugh, and not just for 2 hours, you get a whole season." While reviews were so-so, Netflix was bullish enough on the show to pull the trigger on a second season. If further seasons are greenlit, Schwarzenegger plans to continue his involvement because he has no intention of ever meeting the Grim Reaper, telling The Hollywood Reporter, "I'm still on this side of the grass, so I'm happy. My plan is to live forever, and so far, so good." On the silver screen, audiences have watched Arnold Schwarzenegger bust countless bad guys over the decades. In early 2024, however, the shoe was on the other foot when Schwarzenegger was the one being busted. As CBS News reported, Schwarzenegger was detained by German customs officers in the Munich airport. At issue was a custom-made watch created by Swiss watchmaker Audemars Piguet that was intended to be auctioned off at a charity event in Austria. Schwarzenegger neglected to declare the watch when going through customs, leading him to be questioned by the authorities. When he attempted to pay the duty and be on his way, a comedy of errors ensued. According to a source, he attempted to pay the required amount at the airport but was unable to because the customs officials couldn't figure out how to get their credit card machine to work properly, as the source explained. The officers failed to use a credit card machine for an hour until they gave up and brought Arnold to a bank and asked him to withdraw cash from an ATM to pay. The ATM they brought him to had a limit too low and the bank was closed. Eventually, he was taken back to the airport where the officers were finally able to get a credit card machine that actually worked. He reportedly faced charges of tax evasion in Germany, but authorities ultimately determined not to go that route. Arnold Schwarzenegger's marriage ended in 2011 and wasn't finalized until 2021, but he hasn't exactly been single since then. Since 2014, he's been dating Heather Milligan, a physical therapist whom he first met in 2012. The pair got to know each other while Schwarzenegger was trying to get into shape to star in the film The Escape Plan after undergoing surgery on his shoulder. As he told People magazine, his surgeon sent him to Milligan, who repaired his shoulder while stealing his heart, as he recalled to the publication. So I went to her, and then after my therapy was finished, after I was finished with the movie, I called her back and took her out for lunch to say thank you, and then one thing led to the next. According to Schwarzenegger, he and Milligan share a demanding work ethic and healthy ambition, with Arnold going on to say, "We have so many things in common. I love that she's into working. She's clearly independent. She just is driven as hell." Milligan's physical therapy business, Elite Ortho Sport, is among the most prestigious in Los Angeles, with a roster of clients including top athletes in the NBA, NFL, and UFC. Schwarzenegger said he's apt to hang around the clinic and meet her famous clientele, saying, "I schmooze with them while they're getting therapy because I admire them. They're great athletes, even though a lot of them make me feel like a little chicken." Having undergone heart surgery a few times, Schwarzenegger had further issues with his ticker in 2024. He dropped that bombshell during an episode of his podcast Arnold's Pump Club, revealing he'd gotten even closer to becoming an actual Terminator. "Last Monday, I had surgery for a pacemaker and became a little bit more of a machine." Opening up about his health issues went counter to everything he was taught while growing up in Austria, where people were expected to keep their medical problems private. The reason he required a pacemaker was because scar tissue from those previous surgeries had caused his heart to beat irregularly, something he'd been living with for some time. Schwarzenegger explained, "It had been like that for a few years. I can't do my serious training in the gym for a while." He went on to add that fans of FUBAR shouldn't be worried, revealing that he'd be fully recovered and ready to roll by the time production began. Schwarzenegger greeted his latest medical update with his typical sense of humor when he shared a photo of himself on Instagram, post-surgery, with a bomb-like contraption attached to his chest.